Hello everyone, today was another exceptionally beautiful and volatile day in the stock market. I went 5 for 6 today in all of my plays. All of these plays were winners in the first 30 minutes. And then afterward, I posted a SPCE play that went positive 75%. And then QQQ calls that I trimmed for a loss at negative 7%. So today we're going to go over the SPY, IWM, QQQ. We're going to go over the crypto markets, the dollar, and the bonds. All right, so without further ado, let's get right into it. So as you can see, the SPY is still holding on to this level of resistance very, very clearly. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. But anyway, the SPY is having trouble crossing above this level of resistance. We've been monitoring this for quite some time now, and it is very, very relevant. We can see today we clearly exactly touched it and we failed to cross above it. All right, so now tomorrow, let's see if that happens again. We essentially need to cross above 438.50 for tomorrow. If we fail to cross above and hold above 438.50, the SPY will continue trading in this range. But essentially, we just need to see what is going to happen. We can see that the MACD is now pointing upwards, right? But the SPY is failing to cross upwards, right? So this is another, usually what we've been seeing with the extreme strength in the SPY is if the MACD was going lower, we would see the price of the stock going higher. Okay, for example, especially in the NASDAQ and the SPY, we would see multiple times when the MACD was going lower, the price was actually going much higher. All right, now we don't see that. We see the opposite, which is not necessarily a good sign because we could see that the MACD is now going higher, but the price is not also going higher. Okay, the price is actually going lower. So that is a complete 180 turn from a very, very bullish thing. And today was actually very, very bearish if you look at it from that perspective alone. All right, so I'm not necessarily saying that is a complete, bullish or bearish top reversal, but it is something to take into consideration, especially given the fact that we are continuing to fail at this level of resistance on the SPY. And next, let's take a look at the IWM. So obviously, the IWM did not do very well at all today. It's down 1.8%. Once we broke down below 224, it was an amazing opportunity to buy into puts. And the next level of support on the IWM is going to be approximately 220.87, which is the 50% Fibonacci level. And then the level underneath that is going to be 218.11. So these are two important levels of support. And right now, this is very, very bearish on the IWM because we are moving upward on the MACD, looking to cross above, yet the price fell. Okay, so that is a very, very bearish sign on the IWM. What should have happened here is we should have continued on higher, but the fact that we reversed lower in price, yet the technical indicator, the MACD, was going higher is a bearish signal. Okay, so now we need to see whether or not the IWM can hold 220.87. And if it can't, then 218 is going to be the next target. Okay, it is good that the RSI did fall, but as you can see here, the RSI is approximately at the same place as the price was down here. So that means that the RSI potentially has much more room to go down to the downside because we have not yet reclaimed where the RSI was on June 8th. Okay, so let's see, how much lower the IWM can go. If we can remain above this level of support here, and this flag, if this is just a large continuation of this bull flag, and whether or not we can find support and then continue on higher. Okay, but this candle here was basically this level of support that held. If you extend it to the right, you can see that it was just a longer version of this lower level of the flag. So we need to see if we can, find support around this area here if we fall all the way down, okay, on the IWM. So, yeah, another interesting thing today was that the US 10-year yield went up. The dollar also went up, yet the IWM fell. So that is this is the first time this has happened over the past few weeks as we've been monitoring the bonds and the dollar. So that's pretty interesting that it shows lots of weakness, and also it's because there were lots of banks that were reporting earnings today and tomorrow. And throughout this week, many of the large banks, Bank of America, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Citibank, lots of these banks are reporting earnings. So that is another reason why the IWM fell. That's essentially it for the IWM. Now let's take a look at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ did nothing literally all day. I mean, technically we closed yesterday at 362.42 and today we closed at 362.42, but in between a lot of things happened. So essentially, you know, we're still remaining above this uptrend, and it is a good sign that we remained. You know, we're consolidating essentially. The MACD is oversold and we're staying above support. So the NASDAQ looks extremely strong. The level that needs to hold for tomorrow is going to be approximately 361. So if 361 can hold, then that will be very bullish for the NASDAQ. If not, tomorrow, if we fall below 361, that can be a sign to start buying puts if we break this uptrend. All right. So overall, the NASDAQ does look much more bullish than the IWM. The IWM looks much more bearish, clearly. The SPY also, you know, it's having trouble at resistance, and the MACD is overbought. So now let's take a look at the 30-year yield. All right, so when the 30-year yield does well, then the NASDAQ does well. But the 30-year yield had a very big red day. We're starting to come close to support around 160.20. So let's see if we can bounce off of these levels here, and then if, you know, potentially give more steam to the NASDAQ on the upside. Okay. Now we can go ahead and look at the dollar. The dollar had a huge move today, so it's finally, you know, showing its strength. Very, very oversold on the MACD, barely moved upward, yet we had a huge move to the upside. So this shows extreme strength. Okay, so as you can see, the MACD, like right here, it barely made a blip to the upside, yet the price of the dollar skyrocketed. So that is very, very strong for the dollar. That shows extreme strength. Okay, and as you know, the dollar has so much more room to the upside. So this is really not as big of a deal, right? So the dollar can continue on much higher. So we just have to monitor to see, you know, if we can cross above these levels of resistance here and all throughout here. All right. So that's that for the dollar. That's that for the 10-year yield, the 30-year yield, the overall stock market. And we can take a look at crude oil very quickly. Crude oil, you know, did well, bouncing off of the 23.6% fib level at 73. So that's a good sign. And, you know, it crossed above the MACD, just crossed above the MACD signal line, and we are breaking through resistance. So it looks very good for crude oil. All right. Now we can take a look at the crypto markets. So very clearly, we can see Bitcoin cross below this lower blue trend line, which is very, very important for it to hold. This is a bearish signal. So essentially now, if, you know, since these levels didn't hold, the next very, very important levels of support are going to be 31,500. And then, of course, the lows here at 30,000. If we cross below 31,500 and then we cross below 30,000, that is, you know, that's not a good signal. But this breaking right here, the daily candle closes in 3.5 hours. Okay. So if this candle is below, all right, so Bitcoin, if we're trading below 32,600 when the daily candle closes, that is a very, very bearish sign for Bitcoin. Okay, so yeah, just be careful on Bitcoin. And of course, because Bitcoin is not doing well, Ethereum is also not doing well. Ethereum, you know, it needs to cross above 2341. for us to start, becoming bullish. We were consolidating here for a few days. This made many people start becoming bullish again. We started making, higher highs, higher lows, sorry, on the lows, and it fell to the downside. So that was a very bad move for many bulls, and it crossed this was a bear flag, and we crossed exactly to the downside. So this was not a good sign or a good signal for Ethereum. And yeah, Ethereum was the reason why, it was a big reason why Bitcoin started moving higher. But as Ethereum broke down to the downside, Bitcoin also fell. And especially the fact that the dollar is having a very, very strong move today is another reason why Bitcoin is falling. So those are the levels. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you'd like the content. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. And yeah, have an amazing day. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks.